Have you never gone live before?
No, I've never controlled it.
Hey, everybody. GameHounds podcast. You will notice, hopefully you can hear me. If you're in the chat, please let me know if you can hear me, because in one of those very typical fashions, everything was working fine until we sat down to do the show, and then everything wasn't working fine. So we're here in the same room.
Yes. Hi. Physically interacting with each other.
Okay, is anyone in the chat room right now? I'm hoping someone comes in. They might have thought that we've canceled the show.
I mentioned to Discord that we were having audio troubles.
Okay, good. I'm glad everyone knows that, because this is embarrassing that we are doing so poorly. But hey, GameHounds podcast, we're here.
Yeah.
You're not going to play any music, are you?
Do you want me to start the intro?
No.
Okay.
Wait, we'll want to find out if someone can hear us. If they can't hear us, then we don't.
Well, we'll just have to wait for someone to pop in then.
Where's EC Ray? Where's my Ray? There he is, Pissed. Hey, Pissed. Question, can you hear me? Can you hear Nick?
Hi. Oh, Pissed says he hears you.
Good.
I've had the tab on for like 45 minutes.
Sorry.
The show finally starts and it crashes.
You do not have to explain. Everything was working perfectly on our headsets at 2:00 on the dot. We go to record it, all of a sudden, all I do is test the mics, and everything goes haywire.
Okay, AC Ray says you're a bit muffled, but I feel like that's a win.
I am thinking that's probably because I'm coming through his headset. Am I am I louder now? Because I can't tell who's coming through whose headset, because we're both sitting in the same.
Oh, yep. Okay, so it's coming through mine. We'll see. We'll just lean close.
No, we'll just switch it to the room. Just switch it to the room. So we're gonna switch mics. It's gonna sound like ass, but that's the way it goes.
Okay, Mike, you want to do the?
You want to
webcam?
do the Logitech camera?
Oh, Shepard.
Hey everyone, sorry.
Okay,
we can go off of this now. We don't have to be. Hey, how are you? And sorry that everything was working perfectly, and then it wasn't. So sorry we sound like ass. Sorry, and no, we're not Nick DiNicola. We're Nick DiNicola and Edie Sellers. But see, we have two cameras.
Yeah. Well, see, we'll just have to we can just edit that. Somehow, how do we edit that?
I think that you can.
There is a way to do that.
I think that you can go to.
I think I've got to go to settings for me.
Settings, general, and show banners. No, we'll figure it out. So, let's see.
Yeah, we'll just
found it.
Take that away.
That was me. I did it.
I did it. I did that one. That was me.
That was me.
That was me. That was me. And I did it with one hand too.
And Shepard finally came out. He does not normally come out, but I think he knew that there was a podcast going, and I was not going to murder him, so that was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it is Super Bowl Sunday, and that is why Nick and I are together. We are going to be watching Super Bowl with his lovely girlfriend, Rachel. And we are going to do just a regular show like we normally do.
Mm-hmm. Just 45 minutes late.
Yeah, and shorter because, of course, the Super Bowl starts in
like 40 minutes, but
40 minutes.
We'll
right.
We don't have to see. Neither of us are like that invested, so
no. But yeah. Are any of you invested in the Super Bowl? Let's see. Piss says y'all have to recreate the spaghetti noodle eating scene from Good Sounds.
You mean from Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I was going through there, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. The setting was only easy to find when you have a smart-ass title. Yeah. So, I guess we'll start the show.
Sure.
You get to see me actually starting the show.
I can see navigating through the menus to find the intro.
All right, and starting the show.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
569. We are recording the show on Super Bowl Sunday, February 12th, 2023. I am Edie Sellers. With me is Casey Nicola. Everything about this place. Everything. Camera projection is all wrong. Microphone, you're all wrong. Oh my god. Yeah, sorry.
Technological disaster.
Hurricane Edie. Hi, everybody. So you're probably noticing that the sound sounds awful. It's because Nick and I are actually in the same room, and for a very short period of time, all of our microphones were working, our headsets were working, everything was wonderful. And then we sat down to record and nothing worked. So we tried very hard, but it didn't last. And we were about 40 minutes late to the show because of that. So we have a short show for, Super Bowl reasons and technological reasons, but I'm glad that you're here. So I didn't play anything this week. This is what was my on Wednesday was officially my first week at the new job. And being a dog mom when you don't have a dog dad to take care of the dogs at home means that you come home and you collapse. You just go to sleep. And then dogs are all on top of you because they want attention. It's all bad. So
That's good. I actually played a lot of things.
Oh, good. What did you play?
I'll start with Hi-Fi Rush.
Mm-hmm.
This is
the one that there was a surprise drop?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a rhythm game, and it's a 3D
Can't believe you got a
action
drink out of
rhythm
that
game.
thing.
And
You
it's
hit the
really,
machine
really good.
just right.
I'm
It won't
surprised
eat
actually
your
at how
credits.
good it is.
Take it from a master like me.
The way it works, the way combat works, is that the world is on a rhythm, like a do 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 rhythm. When you attack, your attacks will always hit on that rhythm. So it's not like you'll ever break the rhythm. But if you time your attacks correctly, then you get bonus damage. And if you successfully input a combo in the right rhythm, then you get like a final bonus hit that you can do. And what's cool about it is what that means is it never feels like you break the rhythm. Like there's momentum to the game that it keeps because it's just smartly designed to kind of never punish you for breaking the rhythm. It never feels like I've got a good combo going and then
it's not like it was. I was watching RT Game playing a rhythm at it was an old I want to say it was a DS game that had been emulated, just or something like that. And he was playing it on a PC, and he was horrible at it because he's Irish and he has no rhythm. But yeah, that game was brutal for its different requirement that you had to be right on time.
Yeah. So what's neat about it too is the way the combos work. They're not that complicated. They're really just every once in a while. And what matters is the timing that you input it. So a light attack combo could be like boom, 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 boom. Heavy attack have you wait a beat. So instead of boom, 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 it's boom, wait, boom, boom. And so when you mix them up, you kind of get into this rhythm of like light, heavy, wait, light, something like that.
Yeah, so quarter notes
You can
and
just
full
tell how
notes.
much
Yeah,
quarter notes, half notes.
And
Yeah,
dodging
congratulating
also
every
on the
department,
beat
but
gives you
security
a
in
bonus
our
ability, so
Armstrong
that when you dodge at the right time, you could dodge 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And so what all this means is that because everything is kind of working off the same rhythm, and nothing ever really breaks the rhythm, like every button press contributes to the same overall rhythm.
Right.
So it kind of gets you in this headset of, I'm going to press something every beat, or I'm going to think about every beat. So it's dodge, 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 light, light, heavy, weight, light, heavy, weight, dark, dark, light. And like you just get into this really cool rhythm that makes you feel really awesome when it all comes together and is executed really well. When you do everything right, you can defeat like a mini boss in 16 seconds or something like that because all the combos hit, you get all the bonus damage, and everything just clicks. And yeah, it's so cool to play a rhythm action game that doesn't punish you for not being on the rhythm, and that is just designed in a way that always ensures the rhythm is going.
Muted. Oh my gosh, Nick, the whole time you were not muting that thing. You got to keep it muted. So we might get a copyright strike on that. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah,
That's why I hate it when I let him drive.
but also the music is really good. It's kind of funny that this is a sci-fi future with this young guy, and he's listening to the Black Keys and Nine Inch Nails, which is like a bunch of aughts 90s rock songs, but it works really well for the game. Like the rhythm that it keeps is really, really good. So yeah, great soundtrack. It's just one of those games that after you beat a level, it makes you smile.
Yeah. Is it a Game Pass game or is it a?
Yes, Game Pass.
Even better.
That was the big thing about it is it was surprise dropped on Game Pass with no.
Yeah, I know that it was a surprise. They dropped it. They dropped the game during the Microsoft State of Gaming or something like that.
Yeah, the Direct that they
Microsoft
have.
Direct. That's what it was. Yeah. What other games did you play? Sorry, I have to take care of some business here.
Okay. I played a game called Transient, which is it's from the makers of Konami, which was a
something in his pocket.
First-person Lovecraftian kind of puzzle
Looks like an
exploration
electronic
game.
device of some sort.
And this is a sequel that's very much in the same vein. You it takes place in this far-flung future where people are living in this virtual reality world. In the physical world is kind of this what are those things called, like the self-sustaining cities? There's a word for a city that can sustain itself, no, I forget what it is.
I have no idea.
But it's one of those cities, and so people don't really have to worry about material things. They just kind of live in this weird virtual world. And you play, from what I can gather, because it's kind of obtuse with storytelling, you play as this virtual thief, and you were part of this heist that went right, but now the people around you, your teammates, are kind of dying. And so you... Oh, yeah, you should probably mute that.
Why? Jesus. This is why, you know what, Nick? How about this? You don't put anything up. I will take care of all the technical part.
I've got another video lined up that's already muted.
That's fine.
Anyways, so
it's not muted. I can literally hear it, Nick.
It is muted.
No, how about this?
You just
close that window. I'll take care of it for you.
Oh my God, fine. See, this is why we shouldn't do this in the same room.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't do this in the same room. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Transient. So you scared the cat away.
Oh,
it's gone.
Sorry.
Yeah. So you were part of a group of people that did some hacking that went well. You did this heist, but now your teammates are dying, and so you kind of spend the game going to each of their apartments, investigating what's around there, reading their journals and stuff to figure out what are they getting into. And it delves into dreams in a way that lots of Lovecraft's work did. But the way that it kind of equates virtual hacking with jumping into dreams is really neat. It feels like a really good sci-fi twist on his old tropes, or basically taking all of his old tropes and just recontextualizing them in a sci-fi world. I haven't gotten very far into it, but from what I've done, it's I'm really enjoying doing so far.
Nice. Was this a Game Pass game or is this a
No, this is a buy game.
Oh,
Yeah.
How much was it?
I don't remember. It was like $20. I bought it a long time ago,
Oh wow.
and just now got around to playing it.
So it's just been sitting there in your Steam,
On my PlayStation.
on your PlayStation.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
You haven't even begun to get to your Steam library, have you?
Oh God, no.
Or does anybody ever get to their Steam
No,
library?
the Steam library is hopeless. I don't ever look into that.
I don't know. This one doesn't seem. I mean, it seems. Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still playing it. I haven't finished it. I'm like
Okay.
I'm partway through chapter 2 of 5, so I'm
Mhm.
just in the beginning. But yeah, I like the tone that it sets. It's got a good spooky, creepy tone to it.
Mhm.
Like I said, the way that it's equating dreams with hacking virtual worlds, and it captures that feeling that a lot of Lovecraft stories did of someone getting into something that they shouldn't, of
Mhm.
someone like delving too deep into a mystery that is only going to reveal cursed knowledge that drives them insane. And it really feels like I'm starting down that rabbit hole.
Right. So, how much was it? Do you remember?
Probably like $20.
Oh.
I mean,
That sounds expensive. Spendy.
yeah, $20.
Spendy.
It's not that much.
I think that's a lot of money.
No.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty tight these days with money. I'm saving, trying to be good with money now that I've actually got some. So anything else that did you bring?
We together with Chris played Battlefield 2042.
That's right. I forgot we did that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. We played Battlefield 2042. Believe it or not. Don't you dare. Don't you
It's muted.
dare.
It's muted.
I don't care.
It's muted.
Don't you dare touch that, Nick.
I'm going to share it.
You're
I'm gonna
more
share it.
than welcome
I'm
to.
seeing
but
your screen. You're taking too much time. Anyways, I think Battlefield 2042 is really cool.
Mhm.
I played some after we did with Chris, and I think it still runs into some of the issues that we had in the beta, specifically that some of the levels are just way too big. Even for a Battlefield game, some levels, the way it starts is you have your spawn point at the beginning,
Mhm.
and then the objective is, I don't know, 300 meters away, which is a long, long way. You have to take a vehicle to go there. You can't run that distance.
Yeah.
And there are some, like that's something that other Battlefield games have done in the past, is to have you spawn at a location with a bunch of vehicles and have to transport yourself and others.
Yeah, I mean, even this map that we're looking at right now is clearly.
This is one of them. But,
Battlefield 1942, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this one is.
This
that.
is Wake Island.
No, this is Orbital.
Oh, is it?
In 2042.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like other Battlefield games have done that, but it's never been that far away. It's never 300 meters away.
Right.
Like it would take you. I've run across the maps in these games long enough to get a feel for like, usually it takes 30 seconds. In this one, I'm going for like a minute and a half with nothing. And just me trying to get to a location. And then I get there and I
disagree.
get shot.
I think that the last few, I know that Battlefield 1, that because it was, we're talking about real battlefields. Those battlefields were large.
Yes, but they never
Battlefield 5,
but they
felt
never
large.
felt too large. I've never felt it was too big until I played the beta for this game.
Yeah.
And I think they've redesigned some maps to accommodate that. I've also taken to only playing on the 32 players per side mode.
Mm-hmm.
So you play with 64 players total or 128 players total.
Right.
The 128 ones are always the ones that are too big.
Right.
So I've taken to playing the 32 ones just because everything is shrunken down a bit. And those are better. Those are absolutely better, especially the modes where they purposely try to focus you, like Rush or Breakthrough, where they try to focus all the action onto objectives instead of spreading it out across the map. And I think it works well in that regard. Those levels work well.
Thanks, Tenderbox. Yeah, it definitely felt like a Battlefield game. One of the nice things I love about Battlefield games is that even though it's a brand new game, you go in and instantly it's like it's Battlefield. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly how to crouch. You know exactly how to zoom in. It flows in a really natural way. But that's kind of the nature of Battlefield overall.
Yeah.
As far as Battlefield 2042, I'm glad that they brought back the roles.
Yes.
This would have been awful if we didn't have roles.
We played it after that update,
Right.
which is kind of why we got into it.
I could see it being just awful if you were going to like try to play it without having to decide your role within the game itself, like within the battle. And I think that the maps that we did, they were a lot more intricate. Previous Battlefields, I don't remember there being lots and lots and lots of little places for people to kind of hide and ambush. This was, maybe we just was the maps that we got, but it seemed like every map was a hide and ambush map.
I think every map might have a couple places like that.
Yeah, no, but there were whole maps that's all it was. Like, remember there was the container map? That was nothing but hide and ambush.
And see, I like that because that forces people to get together, right? It's action that takes place in a confined space as opposed to I'm going to spend a minute to 2 minutes running across an empty map. At least there, I spawn, I shoot, I die. I spawn, I shoot, I die. But it all happens quick, and that's what I want. I want quick. I want a quick death, not a slow death.
Yeah, I actually prefer having a little bit of time to get my bearings and to decide what my strategy is, especially if I have a team with me and we're communicating. If you just go in and it's like just, furious bullet hell all the time, then you never really get to be able to have these great conversations of a team working together, because that's the whole thing about Battlefield is that you do better when you work together as a team.
Well, that's why you do that in the couple seconds it takes between spawns when you say, we need a rocket launcher. So you come back with a rocket launcher, you run out in front of a tank, you shoot your rocket, you get killed.
Yeah,
but then your teammate comes up with their rocket and they shoot it and they get killed. And you're able to just overwhelm the enemy.
I think that's not fun gameplay. That's just, like pick a tool and die. I actually like to be able to think that we are actually trying to capture targets, not to just shoot at things. So I did not like the ambush stuff because it takes a couple of minutes for you to actually get your bearings, especially if it's a new map. I think if I played this more, I would probably have enjoyed it more because I would have been familiar with the maps instead of like, oh, what am I doing? We are coming to this game very, 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 very late compared to a lot of people that are playing it. That being said, I found the default controls to be highly twitchy. Now, I'm not the greatest aimer in a first-person shooter. I am not, rocket sharp all the time. But even with this one, just trying to like point out something so I could mark it, I was constantly like overshooting it. And it's like, come on. It took so much time to actually get something perfectly sighted so I could mark it or shoot it, that by that point, everything has changed. The whole battlefield has changed. And I'm probably dead because I've been standing there for too long trying to like, trying to get past it. So I did not change the controls. I should have. And I kind of want to go back and play it, seeing if I can adjust the controls so that they're not so, the default is highly twitchy. At least I found it that way.
Yeah, I didn't find it to be more so than like previous games.
I felt like way more than previous games.
Like you said before about picking it up and being able to get back into it because everything's kind of the same. I felt that. Well, I jumped into it, and it felt like riding a bike.
It felt like riding a bike until I tried to shoot something. And then it wasn't like riding a bike. It was like, oh, I cannot shoot this. It's just, I'm just wildly cycling around trying to get the target on the person. I was actually more successful hip firing simply because if I tried to aim, I was done for. So yeah, I would say that this is a nothing special Battlefield. Now, a nothing special Battlefield is still a very good game. Well, I think that now that they've done the update, now that they've made the changes, it's a good, solid Battlefield game, which the worst Battlefield game is pretty good. But the problem is that there was so much hype about this being like, that amazing trailer that they had with that destructible and the wingsuits and the whole 9 yards. I think that it built up a hype that was not appropriate for the game as it released. And now that they fixed it, it's even more of a departure from what that was. And that I can see that hurting 2042 very badly. Also, the fact that it was really buggy at the beginning.
Yeah.
Really buggy.
Like when it was coming out, they had showed off I forget what the mode was called, but the whole idea was, hey, you'll be able to make your own custom games, and you could kind of bring in settings from all these previous Battlefields. It was kind of trying to be like this love letter to the franchise. And that just never really panned out.
Chenderbox says contested locations are always changing. Running to contested locations can be beneficial when sneaky buggers are capturing your already captured location. See, I'm the sneaky bugger. That's what I do. I let everybody else run in, take the bullets, and I flank and go behind, and I capture a target. And you know what happens? I'm on the top of the list a lot of times, especially if I'm a healer. I'd love to just heal and capture points. That's my Battlefield.
One thing about this that is really cool, that is a stark departure from previous games, is they have an entire AI mode where you can go in with your squad and play against AI.
We played against the AI. That was so much fun. Yeah, it really was. And I understand that part of the fun is because we're feeling like we're gods.
Yeah, because you can kind of stomp over them. Even when we put the AI to advanced, it was still pretty easy.
Yeah, but still it was fun. So I like the fact that there's an option for people that are not highly competitive, or even more so, people that are not with a team that they know.
Yes, because you could also do it solo. Like I saw that as an option playing after we did. And it's nice that it doesn't give you full XP. Like it gives you maybe half or a quarter. But in the beginning, because this is a modern shooter, so as you play more, you unlock more things. In the beginning, it's good to play against them just because it kind of gives you the ability to get your bearings on the sensitivity of everything, the controls, and then you get to unlock more attachments and more weapons, which you can kind of get a sense of, oh, I like the way this gun feels. I like how this attachment feels. And then once you have that kind of institutional knowledge, then you can go into a multiplayer game and feel more comfortable.
Yeah. So would I buy it? No.
I mean, thankfully it's on Game Pass.
It's on Game Pass. And that, I think, is the saving grace for this game, is that you don't have to buy it if you have Game Pass. And you can go in, and if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, just bail. And you're not out $70.
What's funny is I had actually bought this on PlayStation like a week before it came out on Xbox. But I bought it as like a Black Friday sale for $10.
Oh, okay. All right. No, that's not bad.
It's totally worth $10.
Yeah, it's definitely a $10 game. So, Battlefield 2042, not horrible. Hey, we got Goalie in the chat room.
Oh.
Hey, guess what? We're together. I'm sorry the audio sounds like ass. I could not get things to work. It worked perfectly until we started to go live, and then everything went bad, and it was all echoing in my head, and I was coming through like the external mics, and we were getting feedback, and it was just all bad. So yeah, it does sound like gas. I know. I'm sorry. We had to rely upon that microphone right there, and I hate this. You know how much I hate this.
But you're a sound person. Like you listen for all that stuff. I'm sure if I listened to it, I'd be like, it sounds fine.
No,
Whatever.
No.
Mhm.
I will double dog dare you that when we listen to the recording of this,
Yeah.
you're gonna go, oh yeah, it sounds awful.
See, it would take a lot for me to say it sounds awful.
See, here's the thing: when you're a sound person,
I'm not a sound person.
right? I can't believe that people can't hear the room when they're in. Like, I can hear this room. I can hear the slight reverb that's coming from the fact that we are in a room with like 4 walls, and we're speaking up against a wall and it's coming back. I can totally hear it. No, how do you not hear this? Oh my God. So, yeah, Battlefield 2042. Goalie, this is not a goalie game. Not a goalie. Well, no,
You're not alone.
take that back. See, yeah, see, good. See, I can hear a room. You can hear the fact that there's like hard walls around me versus soft walls around me. This is capturing.
He says this wouldn't happen if I was still on the show.
This wouldn't happen if you were on the show. Agreed. Do you want to be back on the show? Gully, careful. Don't make promises with your lips that you are not willing to cash.
Yeah, Chenderbox also says the bots were fun in the original 42.
I would expect nothing less from GameHounds. Yeah.
We have a reputation to uphold.
Yes, we do. Chenderbox says it sounds like Nick's old craptastic headset he used to use. Yeah, I
That
know.
headset sounded fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Smooch. Oh my God. And thank you, EC Wraith, for reminding everyone. Yes, we are 100% Patreon funded, even though we can't get our crap together with our headsets. We are 100% Patreon
We just need more
funded.
money. Give us more, and we can upgrade.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We could actually get Nick a real mic. I could.
This you got this for me.
I know, but that's
This is passes the Edie test.
This passes the Edie test, true, but it's not a mic, not a real external mic. I have a really good external mic for you that I was given by my company as a thank you. All I have to do is buy you the box, the Scarlet box. I just don't really want to put money into a Scarlet box.
I don't even know what that is.
I know you don't. Sorry. So, Chenderbox says, we miss you, goalie. Yes, we do. The International Space Station is better audio. I'm sorry. I really tried. I can't figure out why my headset was working absolutely fine. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't. And what's worse is that I was hearing Nick's audio in my head, which I shouldn't have. It was all bad. All bad. It might be because we're dongle based. We both got dongles. So might be that fact. Don't know.
I don't know why that would do it. But anyway,
I don't know either. Yeah. No one
wants to troubleshoot.
So, Battlefield 2042 goalie. I think that game is the battlefield for you to play in the AI mode. You would love playing that game in an AI mode. Yeah. You would not like playing it against players because it's more brutal than I remember, and the controls I found were, at least the default controls, were way more twitchy. But if you are someone who is not like, top notch, top tier, and has a great team, the AI mode is so much fun. So think about it. So any other games that you played?
That was it.
Yeah. AC Ray says, I have a 3rd generation Scarlet Solo right in front of me. I keep waiting for a guitar upgrade before I can actually try it out. Yeah, that's what I need to get him. I need to get him a Scarlet Solo. So, and they're not terribly expensive, but they're more than, I mean, I already spent a lot on a headset. Yes, Nick, that is, you can just hear that scream.
It says for the musician. I'm not a musician.
It's the same concept, Nick. All it is you plug a microphone into it. You could actually use a real good studio quality microphone and then plug it into your computer, and it works like freaking magic. Just saying. So, any other games you want to talk about before we move on to the news?
I will say, Marvel Snap had an update, and one of the infamous things about this update is it nerfed 2 cards.
Oh.
And they were 2 cards that everyone had kind of agreed was broken. They were really powerful.
Right.
And on an intellectual level, I agree. Yes, they were broken. Yes, they probably gave people unfair advantages. Yes, they were probably used in too many decks with too high of a win rate. But they were also really cool. Like they allowed you to do,
it was like playing in AI mode. It's like, I know it's easy, but it's totally
they
fun.
allowed you to do combinations of cards that otherwise you would never be able to do.
Right.
Because like the points and the way the kind of economy of the game worked, you just would never have been able to do otherwise.
Right.
And being able to see and execute those cool combos was really, really fun. And it strikes me as that thing that all multiplayer games eventually have to deal with, is trying to balance what's fair versus what's fun. And it's like, yes, I agree they weren't fair, but damn, they were fun. And it still feels like they lost a little bit of something.
You know how distracting Nick's cat is on the stream? It's twice as distracting.
I was able to say my piece without.
I know you're used to it. All I want to do is switch that bully. Oh, good floof.
I know.
Good floof. So, any other games you want to talk about before we switch?
No.
All right. So, on that note, let's hit the news. News using commentary of the recent gaming Unicola. And their first item is
Bobby Kotick said to me, I guess we shouldn't swear because then we might get demonetized. But Bobby Kotick was out here saying stuff about the UK and the Activision merger. Some of the things he said, it clearly sounds like a CEO that's just angry that this wasn't rubber stamped.
He's being such a bad, like,
it sounds very petty.
It does sound petty.
Yes.
He essentially, let me get to where of course I lost all of my screens. Oh God. Go ahead and look it up.
One of the things he's like, oh, the UK will become Death Valley, not Silicon Valley.
Yeah. The UK, he said that the UK really wants to be a new source of technology, to take advantage of technology for their market and grow their technological market, high-tech market. And he said, well, if you don't let this go through, UK is going to be Death Valley, not Silicon Valley. And no, shut up, Bobby.
And
you're big. You're not that big. You're not Google.
Yeah.
You're not Facebook. Don't even think about it.
And he was also complaining about how, like, a lot of the larger gaming companies are based in Asia. And he's like, oh, we're not as big as the Asian companies, like Tencent and them. But again, it just sounds like someone complaining that this wasn't rubber stamped, right? That it didn't go through easily. He's complaining about actually having to justify this.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just a bad look all the way around, and I'm really it doesn't surprise me that he is that much of a dick, and then he thinks he's that important. He certainly pays himself like he's that important, but in reality, he's not.
And I think that interview came out like a day before this news broke, which would explain why he got so angry. That the UK regulators suggested that Activision break itself up in order to
Oh, they did.
be sold. They suggested that Activision like either break off the King, break off the Activision, or break off the Blizzard and sell parts of it to Microsoft instead of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, that would really Bobby doesn't want that. What
Yeah.
Bobby doesn't want, Bobby doesn't get.
They had the regulators suggested either divest the business model associated, the businesses associated with Call of Duty,
Yeah.
divest the Activision segment, or divest the Blizzard segment, or prohibit the whole thing.
Yeah, so remember I said that Activision is waiting for the EU. Was this UK or the EU?
UK.
They're waiting for both the UK and the EU to make the offer. They were waiting. He was waiting for them to essentially say what they want. So that would give him a point to negotiate from. Because once you've named that offer, then you've lost.
Yeah.
So I think that they assumed, well, no, this is probably what's going to happen, is that this is the original offer. Divest yourself of the business associated with Call of Duty, which means that not the title, not the IP, not anything like that. It's divest yourself of essentially Activision. That is the UK's first offer. Bobby is going to turn around and he's going to counteroffer and say, we don't really want to divest ourselves of Activision, break Activision away from Blizzard King and make Blizzard King and then Activision sold to Microsoft, because he doesn't want that. He needs all of it to go to Microsoft so that he can scutter away underneath, like the refrigerator, like the cockroach that he is, and not be seen and not have to essentially pay the piper for all of the bad deeds that were going on at the company, because that's going to happen. The lawsuits are going to happen. And the more information that comes out, the more it's clear how much Bobby Kotick did know and what he knew when he knew it. So I think that he's going to do anything he possibly can to make sure that Activision Blizzard King doesn't exist. He needs to not be the CEO. He needs it to go to somebody else, and he walks off into the sunset laughing his bajillion-dollar laugh. I think that there's offer.
I think they would be up for it.
What?
Like divesting some part of Activision, because they want King, which is the mobile game maker that makes more money than anything else at that company.
Right.
And if they could get all of the Blizzard games and just make those exclusive and leave Call of Duty, which is what all this hubbub has been about.
Right.
It's a very easy way to get a lot of the benefits of that company while avoiding the one anchor that's kind of dragging everything down.
So I was assuming that Activision Blizzard King, what they were hoping to settle with is to promise to either sell Call of Duty to someone else or to divest itself from Call of Duty, like promise to make it in perpetuity, multi-platform forever.
They never did in perpetuity though. At most, they only did 10 years.
Right, exactly. The UK has come back with, we want you to separate Activision from Blizzard King, and then you could sell yourself, and Activision would still exist. Bobby can't have any one of them existing in himself. He needs it to all go to Microsoft, so he's off the hook. Here's what he's going to come back with. He is going to come back with an offer to divest themselves. What were the three options again? We're looking at the screen. So the three options were divestiture of the business associated with Call of Duty, divestiture of Activision segment of Activision Blizzard, divestiture of Activision segment of the Blizzard segment.
And the Blizzard segment.
They are going to, his counteroffer is going to be divestiture of the business associated with Call of Duty, because Microsoft doesn't care about that as much as they care about King. But with the caveat is that they will sell to Microsoft, and Microsoft will promise to divest itself of the Call of Duty.
Oh, you mean like the divestiture would happen after the fact?
Right, after the fact.
No, well,
That's
You can't-
that's
you
the way
can't-
he's going to work for. That's his kind of going to be the counteroffer. I almost guarantee it, because the whole point of this is that Bobby needs Activision Blizzard King to not exist being owned by anyone other than Microsoft, because that gets him off the hook for all of the, inevitable lawsuits that are coming his way.
what's interesting is that is why the UK regulators suggested these things, is because they didn't want to put on requirements that would require subsequent monitoring and enforcement. They didn't want to have put any requirements on Microsoft that okay, we're going to have to watch you to make sure that you do these. They wanted structural remedies that would prevent any anti-competitive stuff at the source, instead of okay, well, for the next 10 years, we have to watch Microsoft and look at the business, and are they being competitive? Are they not? Is this working? Is it not?
That's not what this would be. This
that's what I'm
this
saying.
helps solve that problem.
That's why they recommended this, because the alternative of having to monitor Microsoft for that
It's too much work.
is
They
pain in
can't-
the ass.
They can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Well, the other option that I think might happen, and this is also fairly likely, is that if they divest themselves from the Call of Duty business, that puts Call of Duty ostensibly on the market,
Mm-hmm.
so that
Ubisoft could buy it.
exactly
They would do wonderful things.
right, and probably get Call of Duty at a discount, because selling it is contingent on them getting on Microsoft, essentially Bobby Kotick getting off scot-free. He'll sell it for a song. Take it. Get these people off our back so we can sell the rest of it to Microsoft.
No, the more likely thing is Sony would buy it. Sony would buy it.
That's another option. Sony might buy it,
Just
and then make it a PlayStation exclusive.
immediately.
Absolutely.
Just
That's entirely possible.
that's the darkest timeline, so
Yeah.
that's what's probably
Yeah.
will happen.
Or DICE could buy it.
No, that's EA.
Oh yeah, EA could buy it.
I mean, God knows they've tried to mimic it. and
Yeah, they'd
haven't
have
succeeded.
both. They'd have both ends of the market. They could make it
Huh.
a single game. They could own this space entirely. There are enough
They
buyers.
can't make it a single game. The Battlefield and Call of Duty are too different to ever be the same.
They could make them, split the baby down the middle. Enough Call of Duty to be Call of Duty. Either way, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of directions they can go with this. Bottom line, there is no shortage of companies that would be willing to buy Call of Duty.
Oh yeah.
And that's another way to get past it, is that they break up that business, sell it to sell part Call of Duty to somebody else, and then the rest of it to Microsoft. That would likely affect the sales price, but
Yeah.
it's Bobby Kotick. The reason why he's doing it, it's about money. It's always about money, but he needs to do it for other reasons too. And if he has to take a couple of, $1 billion off the price to get out from underneath this, he just might. It's not his $1 billion. I mean, it is, but it isn't. He's still getting his golden, not even golden, platinum. Oh my God, platinum with diamond studded parachute. So yeah.
In similar news,
Mhm.
as part of this is what usually happens when something like a suit like this happens, is there's a discovery process where Microsoft asks for documents relating to Sony. Sony asks for documents relating to Microsoft. And as part of this discovery process, Sony has said that Microsoft is obviously harassing them by asking for too many documents, by just
this is standard. I don't know why this is even news. This is standard stuff.
First, Microsoft
Seriously
accused Sony of stalling and
Mhm.
not providing things in the right time. Sony came back and said, "Well, you asked for too much."
Right. This is standard. It happens
Sure,
all the time.
but it's
all the time, and
I think it's
should have
interesting
been
to
expected.
see
This
all
is
of the
no.
pettiness play out.
This isn't. I would call petty. This is
not
this is
pettiness, but it's. I mean, in theory, like this is the potential to get a lot of inside information
True.
on a major competitor.
true, but it's still. This is not when you have two entities suing each other, suing and countersuing.
Mm,
In the discovery process, it is standard for exactly this. This stuff happens in every divorce that goes to court.
mm.
It's just somebody says you're stalling, somebody else says you're asking for too much, and then the judge makes a decision. This is not. It hardly merits a news article, but other than the fact that it creates a news article for somebody to click on.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the process of all this playing out.
Absolutely, they are acrimonious to say the least. They're
Oh, yeah.
very invested in this fight. Both of them are for different reasons, but they're very invested in this fight. So if they're going to be invested in this fight, they're going to pull all the stuff, all the stuff that everybody always pulls on this kind of thing. So, all right, my first item is, oh God, I don't have any of my items, do I? All right, my first item is, let's see. We already have, Division 2. If you're a fan of Division
Yes,
2
I saw
and you
that.
are not getting your update, if you aren't fully aware, holy crap. Division 2 is broken, and it is broken specifically because of the update. So Ubisoft was supposed to be updating for the new season, and they announced that it was going to be delayed for a while. And it was supposed to be launching on February 7th. They had a tweet that was published this week that Ubisoft admitted that they had a fix for some of the bugs in this update that was going to fix bugs and everything else. But in the process of trying to update it, they corrupted the game's build generator. So essentially, it's a system that allows you, once you've done all of your coding, you put it into the build generation software, and it essentially compiles everything and kind of runs and checks it to make sure that it doesn't have obvious bugs. And they somehow broke and corrupted that whole build generation. So they have to rebuild the build generation so that they can update. And until then, everything that's broken in Ubisoft can't be fixed. In fact, because they delayed the new season, they were going to kind of bandage it by putting in more content or redoing
by extending the current season.
Extending the current season, right? And they couldn't because the build generator is down.
They just can't.
They
update.
can't update. They can't put anything in. The game is what the game is. Until they fix that engine, they can't do anything, and it's broken. Which is honestly, somebody just got so fired so hard that his whole family felt it.
They needed to fix it first.
No. That guy just, if whoever, I'm assuming it's a guy, that person, whoever did that, whoever let that happen, I hope that they just saw what happened, took their badge, walked to their boss's desk, dropped the badge, and walked out. Because that was probably going to be the least painful way of doing it. Like that was what they always told me when I worked at JetBlue on the ramp, because we used to, push the planes back with pusher. And yeah, I mean, you're pushing around a plane and you touch anything and the plane breaks. So I was always told that's if you ever have an accident with a plane hitting something, do that. Just don't even, it's like, save yourself the problem. It's going to be a very long investigation, at which point you will be raked over the coals, and then you will be fired. It's just easier for you to walk in, take your badge, and quit. So I'm sure that's exactly, I'm hoping that whoever did that was smart enough to figure that out. But yeah.
So Vice asked, how did this story go public? I'm surprised people actually play that game still. It went public because Ubisoft had to say something because their game wasn't updating.
Right.
And they had to explain, why are we not starting a new season? Why are we not extending the current season? Why are there no updates?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as for people still playing it, I think that's still one of like Ubisoft's most played games.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of the few live service games that didn't go out of business in January.
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely it has happened. And if you are a Division 2 player, and yeah, there are actually quite a lot of Division 2 players. If you're a Division 2 player, sorry.
But it feels like it's a very good metaphor for the state of Ubisoft.
It kind of is, isn't it?
Well, speaking of updates,
your next item.
Team Fortress 2 had an update that 16 years after the game came out, it had an update that's adding items, maps, taunts, effects, war paints, and other surprises to come at a later date. And this is just kind of newsworthy for the fact that, hey, Valve put out an update for this 16-year-old game that seems to be pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
They described it as a full-on update-sized update. So it's an update that a game that's 6 months old would get, not one that's 16 years
Right,
old.
right. Yeah.
So hey, if you wonder why Valve is not making Half-Life 3 or Left 4 Dead 3 or Portal 3, it's because they're making updates for Team Fortress 2.
Why did you not put this banner in, Nick?
No, it's there. Look at the bottom. Boom.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you ever do this?
I was told I shouldn't.
You should do it.
Okay.
Just saying. I have so much complaint about the way you have things set up here. Oh my God.
That is just on one window?
Yes. Or that you fill the whole window. Look, did you know about this? Did you know about this? Let me show you something. It's gonna change your freaking world. Watch this.
Yes.
I can't see it. Where's the mouse? There it is. Hold
on. You
on.
have to go all the way to the end.
There we go.
There
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Look at how thin that is. Look at how tiny it is.
Or do you need to look at yourself?
Yes. Look at this face. How could I not? Look at this. Look at this.
I don't know how I put up with him.
How could you not want to admire that?
How?
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
How?
Oh, nice and big.
Oh, God, he just expanded.
Look at this. Oh, that's even better.
How in the world did I become friends with you? I just don't understand. Anyway, so my next item is I am going to alert you that we are going to be talking about not safe for work stuff. So you are warned, and I'm hoping to do this as best I can. What code word do we want to use? Somebody give me a code word if you know what I'm talking about. Some of you, I'm sure, already have heard about this story.
Wazoo?
The wazoo?
Yeah.
No, wazoo is something else. That's the other direction. Anybody want to give me a suggestion? Nice game of the year. Nick, you.
See, Vice says I'm not wrong. Thank you, Vice.
Let's call it a shepherd. All right, so now that we've got some ground rules on how we're going to talk about this.
There are layers to that. That's actually pretty good.
So there was a Witcher, the next gen Witcher came out, the next gen update, so that everything looks better, everything feels better. Unfortunately, they wanted to make things look more realistic because, they've got this great engine. But unfortunately, the next gen update had something in there that made things possibly a little too realistic. It was apparently included a very graphic, not say very graphic, there were a lot of shepherds on display, whereas in the original game, it was just kind of Barbie dolled.
Yeah.
In the new game, in the I guess it was in the I guess there were hookers or prostitutes.
Yeah,
in
that
the game.
there's various sex
Right.
scenes in the
There's
game.
various sex scenes. There's various places where you will find a woman's shepherd all over. But when the original, it was all pretty tame. But these were very furry shepherds. And they included other parts of a shepherd that are way, a little more. It wasn't just hair. Let's just say that. It wasn't just a furry shepherd. There was other parts of it in there as well.
What's interesting is, I guess this was originally added to the PC version as a mod.
Right.
And one of the things about the next gen update for Witcher 3 is that it would take, one of the things they advertised is, hey, we're going to increase the textures, increase the frame rate, all that stuff, and take popular mods and kind of make them official by putting them into this update. And so that's where people speculate where this came from.
And I want to point out, AC Wraith, I never comment on Kotaku articles. But I had to put a comment on the Kotaku article simply because that headline is misleading. That's not the part that you see. If you saw that part, you would need a scope to see that part of your shepherd. So yeah, I took issue. Oddly enough, it was a woman who wrote that article, and it's like, oh girl, you need to talk to somebody about knowing yourself a little better. But anyway, yes, so they are going to patch that out. And it's going to be, they said the comment was, and this was a statement given to Kotaku, that that was the community source mods that was merged on top of, quote, numerous enhancements created and implemented by the studio. And they said that it was a very complex process in order to do that. And the textures in question, that's another one we can make, textures in question, were an unintended result. They will be absolutely taking those out. And yeah, you can find them on Nexus. If you go to this Kotaku article, the one on VG 24/7, AC Wraith, that's the one that actually has a good link to you. And everybody, and I don't even know why I just told you this, because now everybody's going to like log off of the show and go look for all the shepherds, the graphic shepherds.
I mean, there's the screenshot.
Oh, we're going to see it. Can we see it? All right. And really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a bit graphic. Yeah, it's got all the parts of a shepherd. And a Brazilian shepherd, no less.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Nice to know that. Gosh, just take it off this screen, Nick. God. So yeah, that happened. And if you're interested, honestly, I almost guarantee you that sold a lot of these copies of this
I don't
next
know how many
gen.
people would know that because, like, you have to get relatively far in the game.
I think everybody at this point knows that the shepherds are there.
Well, now.
Ow.
Yes.
All the pics are on Reddit behind a login now. No. Nick, did you see that on Reddit? Was that a Reddit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have an account. Maybe
So they're
I've
keeping
already
track of who's
automatically
looking at all
logged.
the shepherds.
Oh yeah, well, just like they keep track of everything you do online. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was my item. How do you intend to follow that up, Nick?
By talking about. I'm trying to think of a segue. Trying to think of some sort of pun. About inopportune
Oh,
releases.
there we go. Unintended consequences.
Yes. Basically, Take-Two's CEO Strauss Zelnick had an interview with Bloomberg with Jason Schreier, and Schreier asked him about how Marvel's Midnight Sun did. And this is the game that I played for a long time, the past several months. This is the card-based Marvel game from the studio that made XCOM. And Zelnick admitted that the game underperformed. Like, kind of just flat out, yes, it underperformed. No trying to get around it. What are you looking at?
This is Goalie's desk. I don't know if you can see it, but Goalie just sent me a video or a picture of Goalie's desk. And you can see he's playing a tabletop game, and who's on the computer? There we go. That's hilarious.
Hey, as long as he's watching,
Yeah.
that's a view.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
This is my battlefield.
That's good.
Anyway, you were saying before we were so rudely interrupted.
Yes. I forget.
Strauss Zelnick,
Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns.
It's a really good game. One of those, like,
Yeah, you liked it.
surprisingly. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I ended up really, really loving it. Both the kind of Mass Effect style companionship stuff that you get outside of battle, and then the depth of the card game in battle. But yeah, Zelnick had admitted that the game flat out underperformed. That it's kind of a financial flop. In the interview, he blamed a release window. That he said it's possible the release window wasn't perfect. But overall, he hopes that the game has a long tail like other Firaxis games.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with both those points because that game came out in the beginning of December, which is really inopportune because that's kind of right after all the other big games come out. It was after God of War, it was after Call of Duty, it was after all the other big games came out that really sucked up all the oxygen and didn't give Midnight Suns kind of time to be appreciated because people already bought their big game for the season, and that game just kind of becomes an also-ran, a third choice that no one ever really gets to.
Right.
Which is unfortunate because, yeah, like I said, that game absolutely deserves a second shot. And as part of this, you can kind of tell the game underperformed because I sent you a link to this. There is now a free demo out on, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think definitely on PlayStation. I think on Xbox and PC too.
Oh.
There's like a free time-limited demo you can play of the game because, like Zelnick said, he hopes the game has a long tail. It's gone on sale a bunch of times, and I do think it's the kind of game that people will discover after the fact, pick it up on sale, and realize, oh wait, this is really cool.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was not going to go and be interested in it. I'm not a big Marvel fan, number one. And number two is I think that Marvel Avengers was so bad and so universally known as bad. I think that people are leery of this game because of that. That the taint on it is still there.
Like, I think that happened
There's the tie-in.
Oh, yes.
There's the segue.
I think that happened with the Guardians of the Galaxy game, too, because that came out last year, and from everything I heard, was actually really, really
Mhm.
good.
I heard it was really good too.
But yeah, it also didn't sell well.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
I think that the name marvels anything, and I don't know that it's because people don't trust it, or if it's because people don't realize that that's a different game. There's so many Marvel games out right now. It's hard to keep track of which one is the one that sucked.
yeah,
So it might be that there's an element of people that are, like not, gamers like us that listen to the news and read the news. People that just know that, oh, the Marvel game sucks.
yeah. And I do think this game takes that universe and works with it really well because of the Mass Effect style conversations you can have with people, where even if you don't know anyone in that universe, if you don't know these characters, like in Mass Effect, you meet them for the first time and you have a conversation with them.
Right.
Who are you? How did you become Iron Man?
Right.
Why did you do this? And like you go through that whole conversation of introducing them, just like you would with Rex or Liara or something like that.
Yeah.
And
so you begin to learn, you begin to develop a relationship with the characters, which is what makes these games so good.
Yeah. And I do think one aspect that kind of hurts any of these Marvel games that come out is the fact that they're not based on the MCU.
Yeah.
Like, I think what people have to realize is that the Marvel movies are kind of their own universe, distinct from everything else Marvel. And so that means if you're a fan of the MCU, which a lot of people are, because those are huge movies, that fandom doesn't necessarily translate to other mediums, because those other mediums don't feed back into the MCU. Like, you're not going to see Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans in a video game.
No.
And so, like, the specific version of those characters that it seems most of the world has really latched onto are not the versions that you see in any of these video games.
Yeah.
And so I think that always hurts a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that they recognize that this was I'm sorry that they don't consider it a success. I hope that they don't like abandon it or, essentially, well, it doesn't have any servers, so you don't really have to worry about that.
No, there is a season pass, and like they've dedicated themselves to releasing content for that season pass. And from everything I've heard, the first character that got released, Deadpool, is really cool and really fun to play around with.
Interesting.
And adds like a nice dynamic to the game. It's a good new character.
Well, then I will. I know I'm going to play it. You told me about it. Now that there's a demo out, of course I'm going to play it. So maybe next week you'll be hearing me talk about my opinions of it. But it's a shame because
it's a shame to see something so unexpectedly good not do well, but also not surprising, because before I played it, I had completely dismissed it. And so I can't blame anyone for also dismissing it, because I did that exact same thing.
Right. Let's see. My next item is, here's some good news. It's just kind of weird and I didn't know. For the first time ever, a video game has won a Grammy. And actually it was DLC. So the Grammys were last Sunday. And everybody focuses on Beyonce becoming, GOAT and the whole thing. But the Valhalla soundtrack was for the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion. There was a song. Let's see, the artist's name is Stephanie Economou, who wrote the music, and it was nominated for a Grammy along with a bunch of other games that just everybody's like, why would you nominate that? But anyway, they won.
I thought a game had won before. I thought like Civilization 6 won something.
They have been nominated, but not for a Grammy. So the list, do I have the list? I'm trying to see if I can find the list. Valhalla was nominated along a bunch of other games. It's just honest, according to this, I'm reading this out of Fiji 24/7. that don't make sense, including the appearance of Wintry once again for Aliens Fire Team Elite, Richard Jocks for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Bear McCreary for Call of Duty Vanguard, and Christopher Tin for Old World. So it was its own video game
Oh, that's what it is.
category.
So Civilization did win a Grammy for like a song in a video
Oh,
game.
I see what
This
it
is
This
this
is
is
the
a
first
video
time
game category.
that this is the first winner of the video game category.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay.
So yeah, we
That's-
have our own category at the Grammys. About time,
Cool.
considering that our soundtracks are pretty good. Not gonna lie,
Mm-hmm.
there are some. There was
Although I'd be curious,
Battlefield 1, I think it is. There were a couple of songs, like if you just stayed in the loading screen, the start screen,
Mhm.
they would just have this songs, like an unbelievable amount of songs, and different movements of the same piece.
I'm
And
kinda curious
some
to
of them
play
were really good.
this Aliens game and just listen to the music to see what's so special about it.
Don't know. So yeah, good news. We have our own Grammy, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next year. Since this year's seemed it was kind of a grab bag, everybody's like, "Yeah, we're not so sure that those should have been nominated." But now
Yeah,
that
maybe those ones were nominated because they were the only ones that applied.
you do have to submit
Yes.
for a Grammy, just like Oscars. You have to submit for an Oscar.
You got to work for it.
Yeah, you at least have to put your name in the hat. So next year, hopefully, we will have a lot more games that are going to put their names in the hat. Also, a lot of the soundtracks that we know and love, when we look at the body and breadth of the video game soundtrack world, are games that weren't released in the last year.
Oh no. Yeah.
So, with the exception of some, like the Halo, I guess. Was Halo this year? Yeah, Halo Infinite.
No, that was 2020.
Yeah, see? So Halo Infinite wasn't even considered, couldn't be considered.
Even then, I don't think that version of the theme is the best one.
Yeah. But I wonder now, because in this case, Valhalla won a song from Valhalla, but it was DLC from that game. The game obviously did release long before 2022. So I'm wondering, one of the things in movies is the movie industry puts all of their movies that they believe are going to be the biggest contenders for Oscars in the last month, in December. You will see a ton of movies, even movies that are releasing sometimes on Wednesdays, because they want to be released before the end of the year, so that they can be considered for the Grammy or for the Oscars. So I'm wondering if the fact that there is a Grammy available, that might start to affect release schedules for things like DLC.
I don't think so.
You know what?
It's
you're right.
it's a Grammy.
Yeah. No, here's why.
No one cares about the Grammys.
Well, people do care about the Grammys.
Yeah.
Music people care about the Grammys.
Yeah, the music people.
Right, because Grammys increase the sales of an album after they win. Oscars increase the ticket sales of movies after they win or are nominated. I don't know that anybody would buy an extra video game because they got a Grammy for the music.
Yeah. All I can think of is the scene in The Simpsons where someone throws away, Homer has a Grammy, he's like, oh, a Grammy, and throws it away. Someone walks by the trash can, oh, wow, an award. Oh, it's a Grammy, and throws it away.
It was the Grammys. So, yeah, something to look forward to next year. So, I think that might be my last item.
Okay, I just have one more big one.
Okay.
There was a Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
And in it, they had a trailer for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which everyone except me, it feels like, is really hyped for. Probably the most controversial thing out of that is that Tears of the Kingdom will be $70, which is the first $70 game
That's not
on
surprising.
The Switch.
Not surprising at all. They were going to eventually have a $70 game. This is the game that they will pick.
Yeah,
No question.
And it's fair because it's going to be a huge game, not just in terms of like sales, but in scope, right? It's a big game.
Yeah.
But Nintendo had said that not every game will be this going forward. We're going to do it on a case-by-case basis, which makes sense.
Yeah.
The other thing they announced is Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot is coming out. This is notable because this game was supposed to come out like about a year and a half ago, but got delayed because of the Ukraine-Russian war. Nintendo didn't want to put out a tactics war game right around the time when actual war started.
Oh, I see. It was supposed to come out in April, and Russia invaded in March. Yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm. They're now adding Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
That was
games
actually my
to
last
Switch
item that I
Online.
had, is that Game Boy
Oh.
Advance and Game Boy is going to come are actually already out, and they're going to have more.
Yeah,
coming.
some games are already out.
See, I even had a banner for it.
No,
Oh, you can't see because you're not looking at your beautiful face right now. You've
I'm
got
looking
a
at that
whole
screen.
article taking up your screen, whereas if you
Yes.
actually separated your screen or there's a whole other screen. There is a whole other screen that Nick is not using over here. He literally
Yeah,
could have all 4 things up.
I'm admiring the wallpaper.
If you wanted to do corners, you could have 8 things up.
I don't want 8 things up. Anyways, they also announced a remake of the Metroid Prime trilogy coming out February 22nd, so later this month. They announced Pikmin 4, the release date. It's coming out in the summer on July 21st. They announced the new Samba de Amigo, which was a very popular kind of rhythm platformer game. More remasters of JRPGs, Baten Kaitos, which is something I've never played before.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember seeing the logo and just thinking like, well, that's a weird looking logo. This right here,
Yeah.
the way they spell it, I just thought it was weird.
Okay. I would share it, but Nick doesn't have his screen up.
A new Ghost Trick game, which is kind of a cool it's a puzzle game, but it's like a what's the thing called? Like Return to Monkey Island. What's that genre called?
Point and click adventure.
Yes. Ghost Trick is kind of a cool point and click adventure puzzle game.
Oh.
But then one of the coolest things, I think, is an expansion to the game Dead Cells, which is a 2D roguelike action game that is cool as far as those things go. But the Switch is getting a Castlevania-themed expansion, which is going to have locations and enemies themed like Castlevania. And so it's kind of cool to have it's basically like a modern Castlevania game within the Dead Cells combat.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's a really cool merging of an existing game with like using Nintendo's IP within an existing game in a way that like fits really, really well.
Right.
There's going to be some remakes of some Katamari games coming out on the Switch, which is cool. And then a bunch of other stuff that's all okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that obviously the 2 biggest things is the price of
the
Zelda game, but that isn't really news because I think nobody thought that they were going to sell it for 60. Nobody thought that.
I guess one news story that we don't have is like Nintendo actually increased its employees' pay in Japan by 10%.
Oh, really?
As a way to like, oh, we know that inflation is hard and you're dealing with this, so we're going to increase your pay.
That's not very Nintendo-esque.
No,
That's a new word, by the way.
That's Nintendo like.
No, Nintendo likes to think. Nintendo wants you to think they're like that. They're really not like that.
They're like as in terms of companies,
Yeah.
compare them with like EA or Activision. Nintendo is definitely above them.
I would
Uh,
say that Nintendo has a better reputation. I think that they are just as evil as any
no.
other ones,
No,
but
this is
they
the
do a
company-
better job of PR.
This is the company where the CEO actually took a massive pay cut when like the revenues didn't work. That happened like years ago, but like Shigeru Miyamoto, not Miyamoto, the other guy that was the head of it, I think before he died, he took like a
Yeah, all
pay
right.
cut down to the minimum that was accepted.
Okay. But they're not good people. Just keep that in mind. They're
Yeah.
not good.
Everything exists on a spectrum, and
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Nintendo's about punishing their fans, not their employees.
but yes, that also happened. Has their profits like look? They I don't think they didn't meet expectations, but they're expecting to ship and sell less Switches in the coming months.
Right.
So.
And we got somebody in here, random reviewer. Nobody cares about those awards shows. They're relics from the 90s. Well, actually, yes, I agree. They're very much relics, actually relics of way earlier than the 90s. But you know who cares about certainly the Oscars and the Grammys is
The people that win
movie
them.
and record studios.
It's
Because they sell. The sales go up after a nomination, and they go up again at just movies and music. The sales go up again after the win. It turns into money, and it all comes down to money. Now, in this case, it won't. Nobody's going to buy a video game because
I feel
it
like
won a Grammy.
the awards, they're very insidery, and so the insiders care about them, right? The movie makers care about the movie awards. The music makers care about the music awards. The game makers care about the game awards. And like
I can guarantee
there is some expansion out there. Like I'm a movie buff. I like watching the Oscars. I like figuring out who wins, but like those awards, especially in recent times, have become way more niche focused, right? Nobody watches the Oscars anymore. The Oscars have been going downhill.
That's true.
For
Until
the past decade.
somebody punches somebody,
Oh yeah.
then it goes up. I will agree with you, but I will say this: if you have, no matter what you say about how useless these awards ceremonies are, when you're in a room, when you walk into a room and there's an Oscar there, it does something to you. Like it does, or an Emmy. Like, because these are things that you know what they look like. You've seen them on TV or on the internet. But when you walk into a room and you actually see one, it's kind of like, holy crap, that's an Oscar. It's like gets real very quickly. Of course, I mean that I'm sure wears off, but I've never not been impressed by someone who won an Oscar. Let's see. AC Wraith says, no, yeah, it was AC Wraith. A strong Nintendo Direct. Oh, by the end, that's the same one. Sorry. Somebody else got in the comments. Let's see. Goalie says, it's just like watching the football game where the guy does all the work and then goes down to the female sideline reporter, tells us absolutely nothing. Fuck off. Fuck off. You know that's what I wanted to do in college?
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to be I wanted to be sports commentary. Absolutely, which is kind of funny because I'm not into sports now, but back then I was really, really, really into sports. And I talked myself out of it because I thought to myself, they will never accept a woman talking about football. And of course, by the time I graduated, lots of women had jobs as commentators as football. So but when I went in, the only person a female that was allowed anywhere near an NFL broadcasting booth was Phyllis George. That dates you.
Who that is.
Exactly. Phyllis George was, I believe, a Miss America at one point. That's what they had doing, like, and it wasn't even commentary. It was just like she would literally pitch and then spin to somebody else. She would just hand off. She was a handoff girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Chunderbox says a similar price in Australia for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, on the other hand, on Steam is 75 US. Really?
Yeah, but that's in Australia. You Australians get paid way
No,
more
he
than
said
us.
75 US. That's like what? 90 Australia?
Oh, I guess, yeah, that's not Australian dollars. That's
Yeah.
75 US.
Yeah.
If you convert that to the Australian. Yeah.
That's insane. Okay. Yeah, that's insane. Is that night? That's probably what. Let me do that. Let me do the calculations because I have a computer in front of me and I am smart. Let's see.
Yeah, US to Australian
it's
dollars.
Australian.
Oh, he has it right here. It's
Okay.
109.
$109.
I mean, you know what? That's actually not that unusual. I'm sure there's a.
Oh my God.
I'm sure like one of the special editions of Call of Duty is $110.
Yeah, but that would be a special edition, not just
Yeah.
the basic game
Yeah.
on Steam, of
But-
all things. Not even a disc.
Yeah, but like special editions don't get you anything anyways. They'll
That's
get
true.
you some digital credits and maybe a costume, and you're paying $40 extra for that.
Yeah, true. True.
Oh, it says Forspoken is 115.
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, that's Australian dollars.
Still,
You Aussies like get to live in slightly not of a hellscape.
yeah. There's your 70 cents. Or sorry, your US 70 cents to $1 of
Yeah.
Australian.
You
So
also
let's
get
see,
paid
how much?
way more,
114.
But you do have to deal with kangaroos drowning people, so that's
And their what is it? Is it your dairy? No, meat is crazy expensive over there, and cars. Oh my God, your
Yeah.
cars are so expensive compared to America's. It's stupid.
that's because you gotta ship it. Stop living on an island.
It's not an island; it's a continent.
It's just a big island.
Aren't all continents really just big islands?
I'm too sober for that. I need to be more high to have this conversation.
That's for later during the Super Bowl.
But you know what is good about Australia?
Huh.
In Risk, they're a great country because they can only be invaded from one side.
What do you mean they could only be invaded from one side?
In the game
Oh,
Risk?
because from the north.
Yeah.
Right.
Every other country, you got to deal with two fronts.
Yep.
With Australia, you're like, no, I got one front, and I'm going to push it.
But wasn't there a thing in? Yeah, there was the. Do you remember the radio stations in Grand Theft Auto with Laszlo?
Vaguely.
And there was a caller, and it was like this recurring. If you ever listen to those, they're absolutely hilarious because there's this kind of these recurring jokes that keep happening, like along the way. And one of the recurring jokes that starts out as a caller who sounds crazy, and then eventually, if you listen for a few hours, you realize that he's not crazy, is the Australian-American War.
No, I thought he was a crazy guy. He's just always ranting about this war that never happened.
Right. It starts out like that. But if you continue to listen to the channels, and it's not just on that channel, it's on other channels, there are little Easter eggs about the Australian-American War.
Really?
Yeah. It's really, really funny. Let's see. What did AC Race just say? Recurring and keeps happening. Wow. You're a little, you're all a little crazy, a little bit crazy down under. Stop it, God. We're both trying to add your comment at the same time. We keep canceling each other out. Yeah, you are. I mean, you live on a continent that is an island, full of things that want to murder you. I mean, the concept to me that a little doctor clinic in the middle of nowhere would have snake venom in their refrigerator at any particular time. Because I worked at a veterinary hospital many years ago in Marin County, which is a very rich place in the Bay Area. And there was a woman brought a dog in who said that her dog was bit by a rattlesnake. And we're like, your dog wasn't bit by a rattlesnake, lady. And then we lifted the dog's lip, and there was something in there called petechial hemorrhaging, which means that essentially that it was poison. We were like, oh shit, this dog was really bit by a rattlesnake. So I spent like an hour or more trying to find freaking rattlesnake antivenom. It is impossible. I had to call, I called veterinary doctors. I called human doctors. I called UC Davis, which is a veterinary, like a teaching hospital. I think we eventually got it from the San Francisco Zoo, was able to give us a vial of it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and lots of poisonous spiders. I know. And what's fascinating to me, I'm sorry, don't get me, I'm totally into like this Australian thing. What's absolutely fascinating to me is that you have this island of incredibly murderous things that want to kill you and or eat you or just kill you and leave you to die in the sun. And you're right next to another island that is genuinely an island where nothing is poisonous. How
New Zealand?
did that happen? What bet did Australia lose against New Zealand? Who did you piss off that happened?
Well, see, way back when they were first being colonized, people went to New Zealand and they're like, there's a ton of poisonous things here. Let's just take them and let's ship them across the sea. But let's not ship them too far. Let's just ship them to Australia.
That's hilarious.
And then they made a nice little island for themselves.
That's right. Yeah, the only thing that doesn't want to kill you is a koala. And guess what? A koala will fuck you up. Will fuck you up. The koalas are a wild bear. It's a bear.
We got all the convicts from the UK too.
Yeah. Actually, I have Australian roots. My great grandmother, who was from Ireland, grew up in Australia. No, she was not a convict. She was brought by, I want to say her uncle I think it was her uncle that took her there as a child. And he was a minister, a priest, who was down, ministering to the unwashed masses of Australia. And she grew up in Australia. She married an Australian man and was widowed. And she took the money from his death and sailed to San Francisco and opened up an inn on Montgomery Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she was a tough Irish broad who grew up in Australia. So she was not going to brook anything from anybody. And then she used that money to buy the inn next to Mission Dolores. And that's where, like, you talk about my trust fund. That's my trust fund. It was from that. So there's my connection to Australia.
AC Ray said that Xena and the Hobbits killed all the poisonous creatures in New Zealand ages ago.
True. So I have a question for you, Chandra. You're Australian and next door is New Zealand, and you're close enough that literally you could just immigrate to each other. You don't, it's like you're just almost the same thing. Do you hold any opinions about New Zealanders? And do the New Zealanders hold opinions about Australians?
Is there some sort of bitterness going on, like East Coast, West Coast?
Yeah, I'm in California, Northern California, Southern California. There's very much beef there. Very much beef.
I mean, there's got to be something like West Australia and East Australia, right?
Yeah.
I feel like at some point,
But I would
every
think that it
country
would be
has
even
some
more
sort of
so
division
in
like
Australia
that.
and New Zealand. Like that you would be like,
East and West Australia don't
soft?
like each other, but they can still agree, yeah, we're better than New Zealand.
yeah, like Australians think that like New Zealanders are soft and buttery because nothing's trying to kill them. So I mean, that's sort of
We're just inventing fictional Australian beef.
Yeah. Oh, Australian beef. It's what's for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Northern California, Southern California. Southern Californians think we're soft because we don't have terrible weather and floods, and until relatively recently, we didn't really even have bad traffic or pollution, because all of our pollution would essentially slow down in Southern California and stick in their valleys. So yeah, we were seen as kind of like the soft ones.
Mm.
He says, plenty of jokes about Kiwis and sheep. Oh, yeah, I can see that. That lamb's got to come from somewhere, right? Just ongoing fires. New Zealand wasn't on fire. It was Australia that was on fire.
What's ANZAC?
Anzac? It's probably in Australia, New Zealand. What does Anzac stand for?
Anzac Day, a national day of remembrance in Australia and New Zealand.
That's right, Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, that they were in what, Turkey? Yes, I remember this. This is like a kind of a big thing for them. It's like our Memorial Day, but it's way more big down there.
Yeah, so it's the 25th of April.
Yeah.
Because you served in the Gallipoli campaign in the First World War.
Yeah, Gallipoli. That's right. And not Turkey. It was Italy. Gallipoli. Yeah, Gallipoli was horrible. Oh God, you guys lost, and it was just a miserable. Like, we have all quiet on the Western Front about how brutal.
Oh yeah,
World War. Gallipoli was right there. Yeah, and they still honor that with the fact that they threw a lot of men at Gallipoli and held it. No, held it? Did you hold it? Yeah, I think you did hold it. No, because I think I don't remember all the details.
I mean, we can read this Wikipedia page.
Yeah, but that would be really boring to be reading a Wikipedia page in front of everybody. That's like a sleeping stream. So yeah, the fires near us in California, yeah, not really. I mean, it is. It turns our skies orange, and yeah, but it depends on the year. Last year was great. Mm-hmm. Last year was really good. We had hardly any fires. Most of them were way up north from us, and really were put under control. Here's what happened in California is that we never had equipment to be able to do water drops from a helicopter. Yeah, see, 15% of New Zealanders live in Australia, and I would imagine at least that go to New Zealand, because I know that it's seen as kind of like the easier life is in New Zealand. But in California, we never had until last year the ability to do helicopter water drops at night. And last year they finally got enough. Well, finally got enough money. They always had the money, but they never actually got it. But they got equipment that allows them, and also the infrastructure that allows them to continue after dark dropping water from helicopters and aircraft
at night.
And that's why our fires were so bad, was because they would get ahead of it, dropping fire retardant on everything. And as soon as it got too dark, then nobody could do anything except like the individual guys on the front line, like the ridge runners. So the fire would just explode overnight. How many times did you hear that on the news? The blankety blank fire exploded overnight. It's the reason why it exploded overnight is because they weren't dropping water. This last year was the first year that we could drop water overnight. And you probably didn't see it, but you could probably go on the internet to see. We hardly had any fires.
Oh wait,
the fires that we had, very small.
Was 2022 the first year or 23?
2022.
Okay.
Yeah,
there wasn't really a big bad breakout fire in 22.
No, there was no big, and it's been decades that we have not had a huge breakout fire in California in September, at least in September. So,
yeah, Australia's
yeah.
expensive, New
Chatterbox says
Zealand-
Australia is expensive, but New Zealand is more. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, you everything there is silly expensive for you, and I don't really know how you guys manage it, but you do. Well, you don't have to pay for healthcare,
Wait,
and like we do.
he says, what do you call a Kiwi with 100 lovers? A shepherd.
Oh. That's funny. Anyway,
You're a shepherd. You ran away somewhere.
yeah,
You never came back.
So, is there anything else we want to talk about before we close out this show?
No,
So
I think I hit
mean,
all the big news.
The Super Bowl's already on for the last hour, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
should probably
I
go
mean,
watch it.
Look, it lasts 3.
Yeah, I
Right.
know. Anyway, so on that note, let's wait for it. Let's close this out. Oh, what episode is it? It is episode. Wait, are we playing? No, we're playing. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 669. We recorded this on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, February 12th, 2023. I've been Edie Sellers, and with me has been Nick Nicola. If you ever want to get a hold of us, GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and normally sounds much better than this because we actually have headsets that work and we're not in the same room. But we record the show live every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We do that on YouTube and on Twitch. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS is in videos. On Twitch, we are the GameHounds. Thank you so much to everybody watching. And yes, thank you, AC Ray, for reminding me of Patreon. We are 100% sponsored by Patreon. If it wasn't for you, we never would have gone from audio to video. You were the ones that did it, not me. I actually can ask Bowie. I resisted, but my brother convinced me to start a Patreon, and I said $1 a month is all we ask. You guys have done it. So thank you so much to our patrons. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here, at least not in your eyes.
Yes.
We might be in your ears, but not your eyes.
You're welcome.
God. Thank you to our patrons, Tor the Weege, Peter Camo, Eric Baker, Anonymous Piss, our very own Pissed in the chat room, hey buddy, and Andy H. Thank you so much. You have made this possible. We will talk to you next week.
Wait.
Yeah?
AC Ray asks, when listening?
When listen,
Look, when she does the 24-hour whooping.
right, exactly. Talk to you next week, everyone. Bye. Okay. Audio is done for that Libsyn stream that I'm not posting. Sorry. Yeah. Don't forget to use your free Prime subs for GameHounds. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free sub. And I would appreciate if you pass it my way. It always helps. It's not much, but you know what? It just pays a little bit so that I don't have to like cough up money for, subscriptions and stuff like that. And, hopefully we give you at least some value out of that. For $1 a month, that's 25 cents a show. So, yeah, AC Ray says, whoa, lies, not just to me, but to all of the audio listeners. I know. Listen, okay, so what was first off, beginning of the year, I was like, okay, we're just going to do it from the beginning of the year. Christmas was just a crap show of unbelievable levels that I wasn't going to be able to catch up on all the audio shows because I have to download each of the individual audio shows. Then I have to add in the heads and tails of the music because this StreamYard, it clips the first second of the audio, which drives me nuts. So I have to clip in sections of it so I can get that first second back. Same thing with the end. So it does take a little bit of time. And then, of course, it has to upload. And it takes a really, really, really long time because these are really, really, really big shows. So I know I said I was going to do it starting at the January, which I would have done. But I emailed a former boss on like January 7th, 8th. And that former boss offered me a new job, my old job back, actually my bigger job back, and making a crap ton more money than I was making. So all of a sudden, my beginning of the year went from being, oh, it's just, beginning of the year, same old job, it's fine, to holy crap, I've got 3 weeks to write up instructions on how everything I do for the next person, because I was the only person in the company who did my job. And switch over to a new job that was an old job that I used to do, but has changed significantly in the last 3 years. And, figure out dog care. Because when I last worked there, I had a husband and he would take care of the dogs. And I have to figure out now how to do it because I'm up at 6:30 in the morning walking my dogs because they go into a kennel and they don't come out until pretty late in the evening. So I'm trying to take care of them. And by the time I get done with my day, I'm dead. Absolutely dead. Now, once we get all of the systems in place, I started on the 1st of February. Once all the systems are in place, I would imagine that, I just did my first week because I started on a Wednesday. Wednesday of this week was 1 week. So it's like I've been working for them a week and a half. I'm about to get my commute down system-wise because I'm waiting for a new scooter because my old scooter was rusted. And also getting a doggy sitter who's going to be taking care of my doggies. So yeah, that's why I haven't been lying. It's just that when I said those things, I was not anticipating that I would be leaving my job.
See, you just got to accept, just take all the podcasts you got now, don't fix the audio and just upload them and accept the B quality. Just accept the B passing grade.
Yeah, AC Ray says label it as raw, post it as raw.
Yeah.
Really? You think I should do that? I know this goes so against who I am.
That's
to
the
post
secret.
Something up that's not right.
That's the secret of
all the
podcasts.
I barely accept
just label it raw.
Like the way it is, even just our audio. I barely accept it, even when it's done right. I barely accept it. I'm constantly struggling to keep the audio quality high. And I say that on a show that actually is probably the worst audio we've had on this show.
Oh yeah, this particular one.
13 years. I have never done a audio with a room mic like this.
To be fair, you haven't listened to it back. It could be fine.
Oh, it's not. I can hear it. It's not fine. It's not fine.
How do you hear it?
I can hear it in the room.
No, but you haven't heard the video.
It's gonna sound like it sounds. I can hear the reverb coming off the back wall.
This is why.
And I can hear the reverb coming from this wall as well.
I'm so glad I'm not a sound person because it sounds like it's very hard. It sounds like a life of compromises. And you know what? I'm happy just be like, you know what? My TV speakers are fine. I don't mind my TV speaker. That's fine.
Now, don't get me wrong. My TV speaker, I use the speakers on my, like my onboard speakers on my Samsung. I do have very high-end surround speakers, but the receiver doesn't work, and the receivers are like, $600 for those receivers to be
Mm.
able to run those. So I really don't want. I just
You
bought
see,
it.
that's difficult
I
about
just
sound too.
replaced it like a couple of years ago and it went out again.
Sound is expensive.
Sound is expensive. It is very expensive. But I'd say it is harder to be it's harder to be a grammar Nazi than it is to be a sound wonk. Trust me, I'm a grammar Nazi as well. That one, I cannot watch like most scripted television because somebody is going to use I and me wrong, or they're going to use the word they wrong, or the word more versus fewer wrong. And those three, I hear on a daily basis, and
Really?
every single time it is like a nail in the back of my skull. All I want to do is fix it. All I want to do is say something. But I know that I can't because
It's
I would be
TV
a grammar Nazi.
because you're talking to a TV show and no one there is
Right.
listening.
Well, see, back when Kevin was there, we'd be watching something together and I'd
Oh.
correct the television and he'd be like, let it go. Let it go. So it is way harder to be a grammar Nazi than it is a sound wonk. So anyway, we should go watch the Super Bowl. If you're going to watch the Super Bowl, the only reason why I watch the Super Bowl is for the commercials.
Oh no, you know what we should do on this so that we can be held accountable. I bet you $5 that, and I say this not knowing what the score is at the moment.
Okay.
Bet you $5 that Chiefs or Eagles. No, you know what? I'll do the game that I've played. Flip the phone.
You're gonna flip the phone. All right.
The glass is Eagles because whatever. Eagles.
Eagles. Okay, you're Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a spread.
No, it's just who wins.
Really? Why would you do that?
Because it's easier.
No, I'm gonna say the Chiefs by 10.
I don't even know. Okay, that means if they don't win by 10.
Right. You have to pick an Eagles.
Okay, Eagles.
And what's the spread?
No. By 7.
Okay. There you go. So we'll see who's in a few minutes. We'll see who's working. What are we betting?
$5.
$5. $5 is a lot of money. Okay, $5.
$5. Now,
We're gonna look it up. What's the score?
oh, Eagles are winning by 7.
Eagles are winning by 7. It's 3rd and 6. What quarter? Second quarter. It's not even a game yet.
Oh yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's called a tight game at a sec. Just 7 points at not even the second
Mhm.
quarter, not even halftime. So we're gonna
That
go.
sounds like losers trying to justify the losing.
We're gonna go, and I'm gonna go watch some commercials and eat some 7-layer dip because that's what you do during the Super Bowl.
Oh, in the
you're a
chat.
Chiefs fan. Chunderbox. Oh, you're a Chiefs fan. Okay, you and me. All right, and labeling it raw, posting it raw. Okay, I'll start labeling. But keep in mind, it takes even raw. It takes about 2.5 hours for it to be uploaded, downloaded, and uploaded.
Chunderbox says, I don't understand the game, but still watch it every year.
Yeah, that's kind of like how we are about FIFA. A World Cup, we will absolutely watch it and we will cheer. Do we understand it? Nope.
I get the rules.
What is offsides?
It's when the ball.
Shut up. You don't understand.
Yes, I
You
do.
don't know.
It's when
You don't
the
know.
ball.
You
It's
don't
when
know.
the ball
You
passes
lie.
the line before a player does.
It's not all lines. Some lines.
Well, yes, there's a specific line.
Which line?
I don't know what the name of the line is
See,
called,
there you go.
but I know where it is on the
We
field.
don't understand.
So when the ball crosses before a player does, I know he's offside. You know what? I know when I see it.
Go Sports Go by Garfunkel and Oates.
Oh, it's a
Okay.
video.
We will be watching that later. All right, everyone, we're going to go watch the game and eat some 7-layer dip. Hope you have a great week. We will be back to our normal programming where we actually sound good. And one of these days, we're going to get our sound sorted out when we're together. You know what's going to fix it? We know what to fix it?
What?
A Scarlet Solo.
No.
All right, everyone. Take care. Bye. What are you looking up?
Australian Football League.
See you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.